Welcome to Beers and Brawls, the show where my guests and I drink beer and talk all things wrestling. Welcome to Season 4 of Beers and Brawls. I'm excited to be back. We've got some big things planned, and what better way to start with a huge guest here, not only in Adelaide but around Australia. He is a journalist, a podcaster, he's written a book, so he's an author. He's been a wrestling announcer and wrestling commentator. He's the legend, Sean Fewster. Sean, welcome to the show.
Jared, thank you very much for having me, mate.
No.
Season 4.
Season 4, I know. It's crazy. This started as a little muck around project in COVID times.
Yeah.
To catch up with the boys, have a beer and that sort of stuff, and people liked it, so I thought, why not keep it going?
Yeah.
And it's been great for me. Gets me some experience talking on a mic. I don't know what I need that for, but gets me to hang out with guys like yourself and girls that have been in the business for a long time, do amazing things. So why not highlight them?
Well, why not? And look, hopefully one of them can get you a better dress sense sometime soon, because that needs to go. Seriously,
it's an alright shirt.
Oh,
he goes alright.
Oh, about 12 months out of date now, isn't it?
Yeah, we haven't seen him for a while, but that's alright.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
But we'll touch on that after. But anyway, I'd love to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
Normally we have the traditional shots, guys. We're not getting away from that this year, but our man Sean, he doesn't drink, and that's more than acceptable here. Even though it's called Beers and Brawls, just wanted to shout out to all wrestlers, staff. If you don't drink, you're more than welcome to be on the show. So no welcome shot, but more than happy to have you on the show.
Do a welcome shot of that. Thank you for letting me be your first straight edge guest.
No, absolutely.
Now you're all ready for Phil one day when Phil wants to come on.
Yeah, exactly.
See, there you go, Phil. You can come on this show. No complaints necessary.
There we go. If he doesn't bitch and moan, he can eat donuts. He can do what he wants.
If I lick some frosting off my fingers now.
But stoked to have you on here. As I said in the thing, you're a legend around Australia, around Adelaide. Advertiser and all that sort of stuff. But how have you been anyway? How have you been keeping?
Yeah, good. It's been, coming up on 12 months now since I was last involved in wrestling.
Yeah.
So over that time, I've been doing a lot of family stuff, doing a lot of podcasting stuff, concentrating a lot on the advertiser, sorting my life out. Just ticked over 25 years as a journalist.
Oh, wow.
So 23 of them at the advertiser newspaper and the other 2 freelancing, and been on 5AA now for a whole bunch of time, and been on Just Lawful for 2 seasons now, and so it's been an interesting 2022. It was the year that I knew my life was going to change. Didn't expect everything in my life to change, but it has, and mostly for the better.
Nice. Well, it all comes at once sometimes, but I'm glad to hear that it's good change for the better. But yeah, like you said, we haven't seen you around the wrestling or Right City and stuff like that for a while now. But any plans on coming back, or are you sort of just enjoying your time away?
Well, I feel like Terry Funk. Every time someone tells me I'm retired, I turn up somewhere like I did at PWSA that night. Look, no plans, but Sean Connery said never say never. You got to say the same thing. Like, who knows? I don't think I would. No, actually, I know I would never come back to commentary.
Okay, yeah.
I'm one of those people that when I've done something, I feel like I've done it, I don't need to do it again. So, you mentioned at the top of the show, wrote a book. Cool. There's a reason I haven't written a second book. It's because I just don't really want to.
No, that's fair enough.
Did a TV show. Great. Don't really feel like doing another one.
In the intro.
That's fine. And then with wrestling commentary and ring announcing and backstage interviewing, I've done it, and I've been so blessed to do it with some of the biggest names, not only in South Australia, not only in Australia, but around the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I'm like, cool, I've done those things. So if I ever did come back to wrestling, I'd probably do something different. Yeah. Not sure what that would be, considering I'm made of pipe cleaners and rice cakes.
We can chuck some pads on you and get you in the ring.
Training dummy. The world's first talking training dummy. Yeah. There you go.
There's heaps. There's plenty of other jobs you can do.
Somebody's got to sweep up afterwards.
True. Someone's got to sell some merch, canteen.
Yeah.
There's heaps of jobs. But it'd be awesome if you do come back. And obviously, no one's ever retired from wrestling. No. So if we see you, we'll see you. But it's great to have you on here today. And we're going to get into our questions.
Yes, all right.
So if you're ready for that.
Yes, I've seen Jimmy C and Big Brody Marshall do this, so I'm ready.
All right, time is ready.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Now, obviously, I'm going to tailor-made these to yourself. they're going to be more about wrestling, but your time in wrestling and stuff like that. Cool. So, first question starts now. Who are you? What are you all about in the wrestling world?
In the wrestling world, I'm Sean Fewster. I'm an announcer. I'm a backstage interviewer. I'm a commentator. Joshua Armour gave me the nickname of the Wordsmith.
Nice.
And that was really nice of him. It's not a name I ever used for myself until after he'd passed.
Okay.
And then I decided to use it to honour his memory.
Yeah,
make sure that I kept Josh alive.
Yeah.
And I like to be the guy who is standing one step to the side and one step behind everybody who is the focal point.
Okay.
The performers, the guys and girls who are actually there to do the show.
Yeah, awesome. No, great answer. When did you start in the wrestling business?
When I start in the wrestling business, in terms of the wrestling business total, it would have been late 2013, early 2014 when I started quietly doing stuff for WWE.
Nice.
And then migrated across to Riot City in 2014.
Yep.
And have been involved in Riot City, World Series Wrestling, and a little bit in PWSA and Power Slam since then.
Nice. Awesome. Who's your favourite wrestler and why? Of all time?
Of all time, I have to give you three answers.
Yeah,
when
easy.
I was a kid, Hulk Hogan.
Nice.
I came in with the Iron Sheik Hulk Hogan match. That was the first match I ever saw at the Garden.
Yeah, yep.
In my teens, Sting.
Ooh, nice.
Crow Sting, fighting the NWO. And these days, CM Punk.
Nice.
Yeah, different favourites for different eras.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good answer. It's a good answer because it changes. Wrestling changes. Wrestlers change. So.
And you change as well as a fan. What you want to see, what you're into,
100%.
what you're about.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. What's the favourite match that of yours, well, not yours, but you've watched live?
John Cena versus CM Punk on the Raw before WrestleMania, the year that the two of them were denied the main event because bloody Dwayne turned up again, and they wrestled that absolute barnstormer on Raw. Which is on the WWE 50th anniversary DVD.
Nice.
That to me is my favourite match because it's the culmination of everything of theirs that started from Money in the Bank and went through. But honestly, I could pick any CM Punk John Cena match from that period. That feud is probably my favourite feud.
Yeah, wicked. And what about local wrestling?
Local wrestling, it would be the big finale at the Fringe last year with Gods and Monsters and Tyler Daniels against the Family.
Ooh, yeah.
Same thing. 4 years of storylines involving all 6 men, building and tensions and backstage drama and politics and betrayals and injuries and all that culminating in one massive match. It was like Endgame or Infinity War for Riot City.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that was awesome. Great to be there, and that was a really, really good moment. Have you had any embarrassing moments in the ring or in the wrestling business that you want to discuss?
I had Walter, now Gunther, nearly kill me in the ring because I stood in the wrong place while announcing him.
Oh, wow.
And that turned into some very nasty stuff backstage that I'm very grateful to Bronson Reed and Austin Aries for rescuing me from. Because Walter coming at you, Gunther coming at you when he's pissed off, not a fun time.
Wow, shit.
Not a fun time.
No way.
And I guess the most embarrassing was when I broke my ankle on the way in to the Latvian Hall for Dark Days 2017 and landed in the gutter.
Oh.
And everyone had to come out and get me and pick me up and carry me in. And Nick Armstrong checked me out and said, no, you've definitely broken that ankle.
Yeah.
So I went to the hospital, got splintered, came back, missed the first match, commentated the rest of the night.
Oh, right.
Apparently it was the funniest I've ever been on commentary. So if you go onto YouTube and check out Dark Days 2017,
there we go.
I'm high as a kite on pain meds.
Nice.
And
nice.
Josh and Wolfie told me afterwards I've never been better. So there you go. It might be straight edge, but apparently I'm great high.
On the green whistle. Nice. Do you have any goals in the wrestling business if you come back or at the moment?
I'm very, very fortunate. I have held the actual WWE Championship backstage at a WWE event. I have met Hulk Hogan, and I have stood in the WWE ring. So I have completed all the things that as a little kid I would have wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And locally, I've had every opportunity and done everything I could possibly ask for. When I left in March of last year, I left having cleared the slates. I'm very, very blessed.
That's awesome.
Very fortunate and grateful to everyone that gave me those opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome, man. If you were a wrestler, what match type would you love to compete in?
Inferno match. I'd love to do an Inferno match.
What an answer.
I think that would be incredible.
What an answer.
Yeah, absolute Inferno match.
I like that. We haven't had that answer. And what match wouldn't you do?
Ladder match with my ankles. No way.
Oof.
No way.
We finally had a different answer. Every answer's been death match. We finally had a different answer.
Well, look, if Eddie Kingston and Kenny Omega can do that particular death match, I'm sure I'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
With everything not blowing up and not working, that'll be great.
There you go, yeah. But no, ladder match, yeah, you fall from there, those ankles. They go on.
I see people falling now. It's funny because after doing the ankle so badly, because when I did the ankle that time and got it splintered and came back, what I didn't realise was, and what nobody knew, was that I'd actually severed the foot from the body.
Oh.
So while the foot was still attached, that was because of the skin.
Oh.
The ligaments, the tendons, the bone connection, everything was gone.
Nah.
I kept walking on it. And I kept walking on it for 2.5 years.
Jesus Christ.
So I walked on a literal severed foot for 2.5 years before a friend who's an orthopaedic surgeon looked at me one day and said, "Why do you walk like that?" X-rayed me, told me what had happened, rushed me into surgery. And when he rebuilt my ankle, he said to me, "Oh, by the way, your tendons in the back of your calf were about to fray and come apart too. So we repaired them as well." He's like, "You're about, 6 weeks away from catastrophic injury, as opposed to the catastrophic injury you already have."
Yeah.
So my entire World Series wrestling career was done on a severed foot. All those tours, all those different places, all the weird stuff that we got up to after hours.
Yeah.
All done on a severed foot.
That is insane.
Yeah, so...
what was Mickey Fortune crying about with a broken ankle? Jeez.
Well, Mickey did the same injury, but fortunately Mickey got it checked out by an actual proper person and got the right thing done from the start. It was a similar sort of injury.
So we don't trust Nick Armstrong as a doctor then?
No, he was fine. He said I'd broken it. It was the hospital that was the problem. But we don't trust Nick for anything, let's be fair.
No, that's fair. He has some sharp elbows as well. That brings us just to the end of the timer, but I'm going to ask you just a couple more questions. Yeah. So we're going to go on Riot City because that was the company you're at the most. Who are your top 3 wrestlers in Riot City at the moment? You can separate into genders if you want, but you can go just straight up wrestlers. It's up to you how you want to do it.
So at the moment, performing in the company right now at this time?
Right at this time, yeah.
Right at this time. Well, you got to go Hater.
Yeah.
Very hard to go past Hater.
Hater comes up every podcast, I tell you.
Well, kid's got something really special.
No,
kid's got something very unique.
Look, I can't say anything bad. I'm trying to get him on here. So.
Yeah, you can't go past Hater in terms of the men's division.
Yeah.
In terms of the women's division, I rate Mickey Fortune above pretty much everyone else.
Yeah, nice.
And no disrespect to Savannah whatsoever, because I love you to pieces. But Mickey, for me, is the ultimate mixture of speed and attitude and power.
Yeah, awesome.
With Amber very quickly rising up the ranks as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Tag team wise, I'm going to say Purgatory. I don't think there's a hotter unit in Australia right now than Purgatory. The three of them are, pardon the pun, absolutely killing it.
Oh yeah.
And
so they're going around Australia and they're killing it.
And for a unit that came through in such a bizarre way in terms of Einar coming in and challenging Baron.
Yeah.
And just when when people like Redshaw and Hader had gotten Baron into a point where he was actually playing nicely with others, for Einar to come in and turn it that way by offering himself up as a victim, was so captivating to watch. So
yeah,
I think they'd be my 3 right now that in the 3 divisions, but gonna have to keep an eye out for Redshaw now that he's got that title, because that's gonna be something to see. And also the dog.
The dog.
After all this time of scratching and clawing for anything he could possibly get his paws on, finally gets to the top of the pile.
The big one, yeah.
I don't think he's going to let that go easily.
No, definitely not.
Gonna be like a dog with a bone.
No, 100%, and well deserved for him. Definitely, he's worked his butt off. So.
Well, I remember when he came in. To see people that came in at the same time as me or just after me. Now at the top of the company is fantastic.
Absolutely,
it's fantastic.
And it's it's credit to his hard work, and it's the company's going in a different way now. We've got some of the younger guys on top, and exciting to see how it's going to go. But
and it needs to happen. I mean, nobody anywhere wants to be WCW.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be at the point where you're trying to do the Millionaires Club versus the New Blood, and the Millionaires Club are the ones that are over. You've got to allow the New Blood the opportunities to show what they can do, and they could conceivably beat the big names. Again, to go back to Einar, he beat Matt Basso.
Yeah.
Like, how many people can say that they've beaten Matt Basso? It's a very small list.
He's a scary dude, and
Einar
was able to beat him. So
exactly, like that's a massive thing, and that's no shame for Matt, who has been at the top of the country for so long.
Yeah, 100%.
It just shows the caliber of what's coming through Riot City.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you still have eyes on the product, or you sort of just come back and forth?
No, I have eyes on the product usually through social media. I don't spend as much time watching any wrestling really as I did.
Yeah.
I check in on Riot City through the socials. I usually keep in touch via Paul.
Yeah.
Paul Roberts keeps me in touch with everything. We're still in touch all the time.
Yeah, nice.
I follow WWE only to see what Rhea Ripley's doing.
Yep.
Obviously, given the personal connection there, I want to make sure she's okay and she's enjoying herself. AEW, I've kind of fallen off the perch a bit, but anything to do with Darby or Sting, I'll keep an eye on.
Yeah, nice.
I do enjoy that pairing. I remember in WCW when they tried to pair Vampiro and Sting. And I didn't like Vampiro, but I wanted it to work because I liked the idea.
Okay, yep. I like that.
And then when Sting was in WWE, I always thought, Finn Balor. Sting and Finn Balor would be a great pairing. Demon Finn Balor and Sting as a pairing would be amazing.
Absolutely.
And then AEW did it with Darby. I'm like, there you go.
Yeah, that's what they needed to do. I think WWE wasted Sting.
Oh god, yeah,
absolutely wasted him.
Terrible. But so
it's great now. Like, and he can move a bit now as well. He's got some mobility. He's getting around. He's getting in shape. So, no, that's great. Thank you for all those answers.
You're welcome.
Who cares about the timer? We had good questions there. I appreciate those answers. You've done a lot in the business, and we're going to start talking about that in a minute when we look at the photos. So you ready for that?
Oh god, alright, I'll look young. I'll pretend I'm young.
Alright, Sean. The photos are loaded.
Here we go.
Just a warning to the fans, this is going to be a bit of a longer one because I've got a lot of photos because, as we spoke about, he's had 25 years in the journalist world. He's done so many things, WWE, wrestling, that sort of stuff. So we've got some awesome photos to look at. So hang in there, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did finding them. And Sean's about to tell us all about them starting now.
Good lord, who is that fat guy?
So we got a guy with some hair.
Some hair, yeah. Back in the day, some hair up here.
Not much facial hair there.
No. That would have been my first attempt at an author photo.
There you go.
Yeah, that was when the publishers of the book City of Evil said to me, we're going to need an author photo. And that would have been the first attempt at trying to do that.
Nice.
Wasn't the photo we ended up using, thank goodness. But that was at the point where I was a lot heavier than I am now. Probably the heaviest I've ever been in my life. I was well north of 100 kilos when that photo was taken. Heaviest I've been in my life.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Right.
I was just in that transition period of like changing my life over from some pretty nasty, horrid shit into some good stuff.
Yeah.
And the weight took longer to get rid of. But it happened.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, we can see, definitely. You've lost
We fit. Half an hour a night, 5 nights a week for 9 months.
There we go. You want to sponsor us? Are they still around, Weez?
No, I don't think so.
No. Awesome. We're going to skip the second one because I don't know how that got up there. We can look at that after. But here we go.
There's the book.
Speaking of the book.
And more hair.
The
book was a cool experience. So I contributed a chapter for a book called Cold Blooded Murder.
Okay.
They wanted a chapter from each South Australian city about a crime.
Okay, right.
And one of my journalistic mentors was asked to write it, and he didn't have the time, and he said, ask Sean.
Yep.
So I contributed this chapter, and it all went well, and then they came back to me and said, hey, would you like to write a book for us? I said, I would, but I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of a divorce right now.
Yep.
I can't be involved. And then a year or two later, they call me, and they're like, would you like to do the book now? I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm actually in the middle of getting married again, so I can't do the book. So then they called me a third time a year or two later and said, now will you please write the book?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I'll write the book.
Yeah, I made you wait long enough.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was, the deal that I got was actually one of the better deals that a first-time author's ever received.
Oh, wow.
And when I signed it, they said, yeah, you've played such hard to get, we had to give you the good money. I'm like, it wasn't hard to get, but all right.
Alright, aspiring wrestlers out there, play hard to get
Exactly.
the money.
Know your value.
Yeah, no, 100%. So was crime what you sort of like started in, specialised in journalism, or you sort of just got thrown that and you went with it?
No, it was always the goal. So my father was a police officer, and my uncle was the president of a bikie club.
Oh, there you go.
So, I'm used to hearing both sides of the story. Used to hearing it straight from the coalface from both ends.
Nice.
And so I was always interested. I always wanted to get into crime and court reporting.
Yep.
The book was a way of capping off, I think, the first 10 years of my career in courts.
Nice.
Just the biggest cases. And it came out because I was angry. There was a rumour and a myth going around at the time that Adelaide was the serial killer capital of the world.
Okay, yeah.
You remember that show Dexter?
Yeah.
So they had actually on Foxtel an advert where Dexter is catching a plane to Adelaide because it's the serial killer capital of the world.
Really?
I was so pissed off because it's wrong. Like,
yeah.
We're the weird capital of crime.
Yeah.
Like, everything that happens here is strange.
Yeah.
But we're not the murder capital or
No.
the serial killer capital.
Okay.
So I wrote the book to debunk the myth.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome. No, I have heard those myths, rumours, but no, that's awesome, man. And what an achievement, a book that's, #1 bestseller around the world. Why not?
It did well.
there you go.
My mate. So Russ Noble, one of the best comedians you'll ever meet. Awesome guy. And I met Russ one day and out the front of the courthouse.
There you go.
And we just got talking about everything. And he mentioned that he was a true crime fan. And I mentioned that I had a book.
Yeah.
Next day, he turns up out the front of the courts waiting for me. And he's got the book. He's like, can you sign this for me?
No way.
Yeah. So I signed it for him. And then he mentions it in his show now when he talks about Adelaide.
Really?
I've actually become part of his routine.
How good is that?
Yeah, so
What more can you ask for? That was awesome.
I've managed to catch up with him once or twice since, just oh my god, there you are, fringe time, everybody's passing and stuff.
Yeah.
And his favourite crime story of all time is a Western Australian case where a man murdered another man using a concrete platypus as a weapon. And you can imagine Russell, that's a concrete platypus! It's his favourite story.
Oh, that's classic. No, that's an awesome photo. That's just one of many superstars you're going to meet. Speaking of, here we go.
Deep right. My favourite person in wrestling to interview.
Really?
Seriously.
Yeah.
I've interviewed Bryan Danielson 3 times.
Nice.
And every time we just have an absolute blast. This was the first time backstage
seems like
at
a
WWE.
nice bloke, so...
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
What you see is exactly what you get.
Yeah. Nice.
He's passionate, he's artistic, he's thoughtful, he's well spoken. This was around just before, I think, if I remember rightly, he and Randy Orton had their SummerSlam match.
Okay, yep.
With the ending where Triple H came in and ruined everything.
Yeah, okay,
during the Authority saga and the B+ player saga.
Yeah.
And we had a fantastic chat about life in WWE, storylines, the way things go. It was really, really fascinating. My favourite Daniel Bryan story is when he excitedly told me that he grew his hair because it looked cool when he got punched, because it whipped.
Yeah.
And every time he watched the footage back, he was mesmerised by whipping hair.
Was that in America or in
No, that's here in Adelaide. That's backstage.
Yeah.
That's probably the 3rd backstage trip I had to WWE. It's one of the later ones.
Nice.
My relationship with WWE was fairly sunk in by that point.
Well, speaking of that, how did that come about? Was that just through the advertiser journalism stuff, or was that sort of they reached out? Or?
Yeah, so it started with an offer to interview Kofi Kingston.
Oh, nice.
Way back when, and
awesome.
The paper wasn't particularly interested, and I pushed, and they ran it in the TV section.
Yep.
And it did really well. Then WWE came to Adelaide, and I'll never forget this. The day before the Adelaide show, my editor rings me and he says, "Oh, Sean, WWE's going to be in town tomorrow." I'm like, "Yeah, boss, I know. I've got the day off today and tomorrow because of it."
Yeah.
Right. Do you think you can get an interview? You want me to try to get into WWE for an interview 24 hours before a show with no pre-planning? All right, boss, I'll try.
Yeah.
Spoke to WWE and they said, "Look, if you can be here, we'll bring you backstage and you can interview Rey Mysterio."
Oh, nice.
So we go backstage, myself and my wife, Jessie Cosplay, and we go backstage and they take us through and everything. And next thing we know, we're in a room and there's Rey Mysterio without his mask on, chopping up his shirt, ready to go. And he says to me, "Oh, they told me you were a fan. You don't mind if I don't put the mask on, do you?" And we're like, "No, it's cool. It's cool. We're WCW fans. We've seen it before.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
cool. It's cool."
Nothing's changed. He looks 10 still, so...
So as we're talking to him, next thing we know, knock on the door, Kofi comes bounding in.
Oh,
they said the guy that interviewed me's here.
Oh, nice.
So we get to hang out with Kofi.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, the Miz comes in. And Miz starts cracking onto Just Z. which is something that she still writes home about to this day. She loves that. So then we finish the interview, say goodbye, and we're getting walked back to our seats. And as we go back to our seats, there's that area the area that they show on TV where a wrestler is always watching the television of what's going on.
Yeah.
There is a real area like that backstage at each tour.
Right, yep.
John Cena is sitting there. And I'm like, oh, I really want to say hello to John Cena, but... So I said to our minder, are we allowed to say hello? And he's like, no, that area's for the superstars only. I'm like, cool, no worries. And then WWE goes, sorry? I said, yeah, no worries. If that's their private area, it's their private area. He's like, oh, you're not going to argue the point or insist? Or I'm like, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, and starts walking me back. And WWE's PR guy leans over and goes, you just made your reputation with this company.
Oh, nice.
So we go back, and we paid for second row seats for this particular show. It was in the lead up to Money in the Bank.
Okay.
It was immediately after Capital Punishment with Cena and R-Truth.
Yep.
And just as Punk was doing the whole, I'm taking the title and I'm leaving. It was that era of WWE.
Right, yeah.
And the main event that night, the opener was Ray and Punk.
Oh, nice.
And in the main was John and R-Truth.
Okay, yeah.
Cena wins, goes over. Punk comes out, cuts a promo pointing to Money in the Bank, which I think was like a week later. Actually, you know the famous piece of footage with Punk screaming at the fan, you have a vagina?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's that night. It's that night. So if you've ever seen that piece of footage, look in the background, because you can see just Z and I in the background of that shot.
No way.
Going, what the hell's going on? So Punk cuts a promo on John. Punk leaves. John starts doing the rounds. Reaches through the front row to us, shakes our hands and says, hi, I'm John. It's nice to meet you. I'm sorry I couldn't speak to you earlier backstage.
Oh, no way.
I'm like, dude, you are everything they say you are.
Oh, wow.
That's incredible. You remembered us from seeing us. I'm like, wow. So that was my first real backstage WWE experience.
Yeah.
Then there were a couple more following that, and then eventually that led to a trip to the States, which is probably somewhere in these photos.
Yeah, we'll get to that, absolutely. I've gotten this close to John Cena before.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the Hilton Hotel after one of their live events a while back now. Sitting at a table with a few friends, talking to some WWE heads, and John Cena walks in the back entrance, walks straight up that table. Hey guys, how you going? And then walks off, and we're all just like... But seemed like the nicest dude ever, and yeah, that's the closest I've ever got to him, so that's awesome, man. Next photo here, we got Trips himself.
Yes, okay, so this is on the US trip. So, end of 2013, I get an email from someone purporting to be from WWE saying, in January, we want to fly you to America. We want to put you up in 5-star accommodation in Winter Park in Florida for 5 days. We want you to come backstage and spend time backstage at the Performance Center, come to an NXT taping, then go to whatever the big arena is in Florida, Staples Center, or whichever one it is, I don't remember, Amway Center, and be at a Raw taping, be backstage at Raw, and then fly you home.
Wow. My
My response was, bullshit.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Who's put you up to this?
Right,
Very funny, haha, someone's having a Linn.
Yeah.
You're like, no, this is deadly serious. I'm like, if this is deadly serious, then you get, and being an asshole, you get Triple H to email me and tell me that it's legit.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, I got an email from Triple H's office. I am such and such the personal secretary to Paul Levesque, and we are actually inviting you and da-da-da. I'm like, oh my God.
Shit. I think that's a natural response, though. You get that email of that, and you're like, yeah, sure, mate. No
there
worries.
are so many practical jokers. Look, journalism and wrestling are
even
the same
like,
industry.
Even like scammers, like, oh, you gotta give us your bank account.
Yeah.
And it's like, and we're gonna give you this whole trip. You just gotta give us your credit card or something. And it's like, yeah.
But journalism and wrestling are the same industry.
Yeah, okay.
Right? The politics are the same, the egos are the same, the attitudes are the same, the ribbing is the same.
Okay, yeah.
So there was no way I was going to believe this until I saw it from an official WWE.com email address, and sure enough it is. So yeah, I got on a plane in early January of 2014, and I flew Adelaide to Sydney to Los Angeles, and I'm sitting in the airport of Los Angeles waiting for my connecting flight to Florida, and I check my phone, and CM Punk's walked out of the company. After that Royal Rumble that year, and I went, Well, this just became a much more interesting trip now, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I fly to Florida, and it was an excellent experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were all supposed to get 5 minutes with Triple H. It was myself and media from all around the world. There was a crew from the UK, crew from Mexico, a German crew, Portuguese crew.
Nice.
Any of the markets that they were about to expand we didn't know it existed yet, WWE Network into. In that era. And we were all supposed to get 5 minutes with Triple H. Instead, he did a 20-minute press conference.
Right.
Like, okay, that's a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
So after he finished the press conference, he was standing around. You know the room in the performance center you see with all the rings in it?
Yeah.
We're in that room. And Triple H is standing off to one side with his minders. And so I just walked over and shook his hand and said, nice to meet you, etc. I've been a fan for a long time. And I'd really like to apologize because in every WWE video game I've ever owned, I have hit you in the head with the metal stairs as many times as I possibly can. So I'm really sorry. And he laughed and he said, it takes a big man to apologise for what happened in the ring. We get to talking. Next thing I know, he's cancelled 2 meetings and sent his minders away. And we had a 45-minute conversation about the NWA and old school wrestling and booking and all sorts of stuff. So just sitting there shooting the breeze for 45 minutes. And finally goes, anyway, look, I got to go. Great to meet you. You were the one that didn't believe the offer, right? I'm like, that's me. He's like, cool, well, you believe it now? I'm like, yes, I certainly do. I certainly do.
Oh, man, that is amazing. That is so good. I think we've got more photos coming up.
Sammy.
Here we go.
Such good fun talking to him. So I adore Sammy. And I don't know whether you've ever heard of a guy called El Generico.
Yeah.
But he and Sammy were friends.
Right, yeah.
So I took an opportunity to ask Sammy about El Generico while I was there. We had a great conversation. Sammy talked a lot about the art of wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was really, that passion just coming out of him was fantastic.
Oh, you can tell his work now is just so good.
Oh,
everything he does is
hottest streak of his life.
Yeah.
So good. And he was always there.
Yeah.
He was always there.
Oh, yeah. There's been glimpses of it, like, say, the Jackass match, stuff like that, just amazing. The stuff that he can come up with, and him and Kevin Owens in a ring together, amazing every time.
His match with Neville at the end of NXT Revolution, where he's got to decide whether or not he's going to use the belt to waffle Neville or whether he's going to win legit, is one of my favourite moments in wrestling. The drama in that sequence is just, you can see the pain and the consternation and the difficulty of the choice. I love it.
Nice.
I love it.
It's so good, man.
Regal. This was one of my big moments. I have a rule when it comes to anything I'm into. I don't admit I'm a fan until after I've interviewed somebody.
Okay.
Because I want them to know I'm taking it seriously and understand
100%.
that I'm a journalist first.
Yeah.
So I like to refer to putting my fan brain in a box, wrapping it with chains, and sitting on top of it to keep it quiet.
Yeah.
This was the hardest with William Regal. Just amazing. Like, I just wanted to walk up singing his old WCW theme song, Man's Man, The conversation he and I had was probably the most enlightening moment I'd had about wrestling in my life to that point.
Really? Yeah.
He smartened me up so quickly, so politely, by taking what I knew and then challenging it in ways of, but what if it was this? And it was teaching me.
Yep.
So I felt like I got a 15-minute class with William Regal.
That's cool.
And I'll treasure it forever because he's just one of nature's truest bastardly gentlemen. The bastard's in there, but he's such a gentleman.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing, man. Yeah, I wouldn't know how you can control yourself.
It's
hanging
hard.
out with these guys.
Cody. Okay, so this was the same trip. This was backstage at Raw.
Yeah.
I got to interview Cody and I got to interview Dustin at the same time.
Oh, no way.
And it was myself and it was a German interviewer because we were sort of split into groups.
Yeah.
And the German interviewer, unfortunately, was asking some real impolite, dumb, mainstream questions.
Right, yeah.
The questions we all hate, but it's fake type questions.
Okay, yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're on a WWE junket. Read the room.
Yeah, exactly. Why bother?
So I started talking to Dustin about his autobiography, which had just come out at that point.
Okay, yeah.
And how he talked about conquering his drug addictions.
Yeah.
The WWE representative behind me freaked out. Thought that I was doing the wrong thing.
Yeah,
Dustin and I had a really good conversation about it.
Yeah.
And Cody leans over to this minder and whispers something and she calmed right down. And Dustin was fine about it because he knew that I was praising him for what he had achieved.
Yeah, exactly.
Not dumping on him.
Yeah, and you actually knew stuff about him and cared, and
But Cody and I that night got along really, really well. And one of my great joys is the fact that Cody remembered me, and years later when we worked together again on World Series, took one look at me and went, Florida, 2014.
Oh, no way.
And I went, yeah. He's like, I don't remember your name. I'm sorry. I said, that's fine. The fact you remembered that much is amazing.
Far out. Yeah. He would be on my list to sit down and have a chat with. Really high up there. I love him.
Probably one of the best people I've met in international wrestling.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Oh, absolutely.
Hands
he
down.
looks like a great lad. And here we go.
Here we go.
We got the local superstars now.
So I get back from WWE, and the late great Josh Armour reaches out to me for Wrestle Radio Australia and says, "Would you come on the podcast and tell us about your WWE experience?"
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Like, great, love to.
Yeah.
Don't know who you are, haven't heard of you. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I had the ignorant misunderstanding at that point that local wrestling equaled garbage wrestling.
Okay.
You know,
you're not alone.
No, a lot of people have, and I freely admit I was completely wrong about that, like so very wrong.
Yeah.
And so I talked to Josh, and I did the interview with him, and got into the passion that he was displaying. I don't think South Australian wrestling has ever had a bigger proponent than Josh Armour, Johnny Raddick, and Cole Devani.
Yeah,
I think those three are probably the biggest boosters of South Australian wrestling ever.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I did the podcast, really enjoyed it, and then Josh and his partner Todd Mitchell asked me whether I'd like to come to Riot City.
Nice.
So we started coming along and watching the shows and things like that, and at the same time, here we go, I can finally talk about this. At the same time, Kenyon Seaman, who was the VP of Talent Relations in WWE, gets in touch.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And he says to me, Sean, fancy being our talent scout in Australia, keeping an eye out on people? It's unpaid.
Yeah.
We can't do anything for you, but just like if you see any footballers, rugby players, basketballers, local wrestlers, anybody that retires or is promising, would you reach out to their agents on our behalf and ask questions?
Oh,
I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, right.
So I did that for a couple of years.
That's cool.
Which was really fantastic.
There you go.
And along the way, there came a time where it was, can we get some people from Adelaide to come to a tryout?
Yeah.
Who would you suggest?
Yeah.
Two of the names I suggested were Grimm and Big Brody Marshall. Neither of whom I knew as human beings at that point.
Yeah.
I only knew them as performers. I was a fan.
Yeah.
I was watching from the sidelines.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I'd gotten into it as a result of, what Josh and Todd were telling me. So the boys got a tryout along with Savannah, and it was we went to Melbourne and had a really good trip.
Nice.
So this photo was to commemorate, this photo was taken by the advertiser photographer, and it didn't appear in the paper this way, but this was to commemorate the fact that these boys were getting a WWE tryout. That's what the article was.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was the same article that said that Rhea Ripley had been offered a tryout, but she was too young to take it, so they were going to come back to her in a couple of years' time.
Yeah.
So the four of them were in the photo, but that was the first time I ever set foot inside any wrestling ring.
Wow.
Ever.
Nice.
And thankfully, I knew enough to wipe my feet as I got in.
Ah, good man.
Which meant that everyone went, oh, okay, cool. You're not going to completely shit the bed in.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. That's absolutely... I think this photo popped up in Brody's episode as well, so it's a good one. And here we are, Channel 9.
Look
at him.
I have had the pleasure of appearing on every single commercial and non-commercial network in this country in one form or another.
Nice.
And at one point, Channel 9 did this audition piece where they're like, oh, we'd like to get advertiser journalists on to, talk about their fields of expertise when there's an important story on.
Yeah.
So myself and a few others did it, and I must have been completely great at it because nothing ever came of it. So I must have done so well. I don't think. But it was fun to stand by the desk.
You got to be on TV though, so that means something. Here's the Hulkster.
Oh, God. This was great. Geez, how does this even start? We found out that Hogan had made peace with WWE and was coming back.
Yeah.
This is before Gawker, before everything. But not long before, funnily enough. And he was coming down to Australia to do a promo tour ahead of a Melbourne show.
Yep.
So I said to work, if I pay for myself to fly over there and if I pay for my own everything, will you publish an article about Hulk Hogan? They're like, yeah, as long as we don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because they were still a bit on wrestling. Even with everything that had happened to that point, they were still a bit on wrestling.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with Rowan, who is, of course, aligned with MCW, but is also working for WWE, and said, I'm coming out. He set me up with Hogan.
Yep.
He's like, yep, 5 minutes.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to fly to Melbourne, pay all that money for 5 minutes with Hulk Hogan. Fucking, I'm doing it.
Yeah,
why
not? Yeah.
Childhood dream. So we sat down, and again, same deal. Press conference first.
Yep.
And then 5 minutes each.
Right.
And I'm waiting for my turn. I get shuffled into the dressing room. Hogan, consummate professional, sees me. Let's get a picture, brother. Big hug, etc. This photo. Look how massive he is.
Yeah.
I'm 6'5". Look at the size of him.
He's huge.
His head is bigger than my head. His hands are bigger than my head. His arms are bigger than my head. Everything's bigger.
Yeah.
It's just huge.
Big man.
And that was cool. Like, for the kid that had grown up adoring that character.
To be standing right next to him.
And for the teenager who knew a little bit about Terry Bollea and was a little on the fence.
Yeah.
It was, okay, what's this going to be? We get talking. After 5 minutes, Rowan sticks his head in. Hogan looks up and says, brother, I need 5 more minutes. Sends him away.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, cool. Keep interviewing. 10 minutes go past. Rowan sticks his head around. Hogan's like, brother, I want to tell you a third time. Poor Rowan leaves. I'm so sorry, Rowan. I know you hate me telling this story. 15 minutes later, Hogan replies, brother, if you open that door, we are going to have problems.
Wow.
Rowan didn't even open the door. So I ended up having half hour, 40 minutes with Hogan.
No way.
Because we just got talking.
Yeah.
And we just clicked.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even told him at that point I was a fan.
Wow.
We were just talking about his life, his experiences, everything he'd been through.
Yeah.
I interviewed him no differently than I would a victim of crime.
Yeah.
I just had done my research. I knew what questions to ask. We talked about his divorce. We talked about his suicide attempt.
Yeah.
We talked about his new relationship, about his kids, about, his son nearly killing that guy in the car crash.
Yeah.
His back surgeries, the works. He completely opened up. Made for a beautiful article.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, gave me a big hug and said thank you for my time and everything. And I said to him, well, look, thank you for everything you did, and explained how much he'd meant to me as a kid. And I said, I even had the Hulk Hogan workout set as a kid. He looks down at my arms and goes, do me a favour, brother. Never tell anybody that story. So I left the room, and poor Rowan is sweating bullets. He's got all these other media lined up waiting to go in to see Hogan, who are all giving me the death stare. And John Radzikis, who was WWE's PR minder at the time, looks at me and goes, standard Sean Fewster article coming? And I went, yeah. And he went, good. The rest of you, shut up. You'll get your turn. We ended up running a 4-page article because work loved it so much.
Yeah.
And it was so in-depth. And it did massive box office for us.
Nice.
And I ended up getting copies and sending it to Hogan's Beach Shop.
Yeah.
And Hogan's manager emailed me back and said, thank you, he loves it. But on the day, I actually put that photo up on my social media account and tweeted it and said to Hogan, thanks so much for today. And he replied, thanking me for everything I'd said.
Oh, wow.
So I have that photo with the tweet under it framed in my study at home.
That's amazing. That is so good.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. Obviously, you're a journalist, but this is a good tip for everyone out there when you're meeting someone, wrestler, famous, doesn't matter. This podcast's not about me, but I've met a lot of famous people, fitness expos, wrestling, that sort of stuff. And I always find, I'm like yourself, I like to have a general chit chat with them, talk about what they're doing, their bodybuilding, whatever I'm talking about. But I see a lot of, especially at fitness expos and stuff, people just go up, shake, photo, see ya. And the guys are just like, same shit. And then when you sit there and talk to them, they go,
yeah,
hang on. And then the same thing, chatting up, just wait. And I think that's a good thing. If you actually want to go and meet someone, don't just go and get your photo, social media call, talk to them. And if you're actually a fan of them or know about them, ask them questions. They love that stuff. So
Number one tip for anybody that wants to meet anybody they admire: delete the word "I" from your vocabulary for the first 10 minutes. Be about them. Be about the person you're speaking to, about them, and then finish with, you mean so much to me, you've done such great things for me, thank you so much. Leave that at the end. Don't start with that, because they hit the other version of that, the social media photograph goodbye is, I love you so much. Oh, okay, thank you very much. No, start with, I am interested in you, and then make it about yourself.
Nice. Yeah. No, awesome tips, guys. So take note of that. Here we go.
That was a good moment. That was a good moment I didn't see coming.
Standing toe to toe.
So, Big Floggy Marshall was well and truly in his dickhead phase at this point, and we'd been friends for so long by this point. I was bitterly disappointed at the way he was conducting himself.
Yeah.
And I wasn't about to let it slide, and I would give him grief on the microphone. I'd just be honest. Yeah, this is what you're doing. This is who you should be. This is how disappointing you are to everybody that's believed in you to this point. All because his unbroken streak had finally been broken. That's what did it. So it was very much a toys out of the cot moment for him, and I was very disappointed in him.
Yeah.
This particular night, myself, Wolf Dog, great Wolf Dog, one of the best, and Josh were in the ring. And back in these days, slight backstage here, folks, Right City only owned 2 microphones. So the 3 of us were sharing these 2 microphones, passing them around.
Classic.
And in comes Marshall, music hits, and he just makes a beeline for the ring. It's like, oh, obviously he's going to want to say something. So he walks up, he fronts me like this, as you can see in this moment, and the whole crowd starts chanting my name as if I'm going to fight him. And I'm like, what is going on? If you take a swing, I'm going to fall apart and like just die in the ring.
Crumble.
But I'll be damned if I'm going to, back down.
Yeah.
So he points down the microphone, I hold it up, he snatches out of my hand, 2-hand shoves me. I flew across the Latvian, hit the ropes, saw red, and just natural instinct, came back with my fist cocked. Wolfie and Josh leapt on me and grabbed me, stopped me from going any further as Brody's like, come on. And I realised I'd completely walked into his trap.
Yeah.
Completely. He had outsmarted me again.
Absolutely baited you.
He had completely and utterly got me. Thank God Josh and Wolfie were there to stop me, because otherwise I would have been pop-up powerbombed into non-existence.
Oh, shit. That is awesome.
Great moment, though.
I'll have to look that up and watch it. That'd be sick. And here you go. Now it's into the ring.
Yes. That was, I think that was the night that he flicked me in the groin as he walked past, if I remember rightly.
I believe you'd do that.
Yeah,
definitely.
that's the second RCW gym in one of its earlier configurations.
Yeah.
So instead of the doors being, the entrance ramp being over here, the entrance ramp was there where the kitchen eventually would be.
Ah, okay, right.
If you can think of it that way.
Yep.
So you're standing at the merch stall looking toward that entranceway.
Right, yep.
Which was weird.
Yeah.
But it worked for a little while.
Okay, that seems weird, yeah.
Yeah, it was very strange, but it worked. And yeah, I think that was the night that he flicked me in the nuts on the way past. We had quite the rivalry for a while there. It's always interesting to be in a rivalry with a performer, because you have the ability to add something to the events that are going on with your commentary and with your presence.
Yeah,
but you want to make sure that you're never overshadowing it or making it about yourself.
Yeah.
If, as an announcer, you're saying anything that the crowd isn't thinking, you shouldn't be saying it.
Okay. Yeah. No, 100%. No, that's awesome. What do we got next year?
Oh, Jen, my work wife. One of my favourite people to work with. She is just amazing. Genuinely lovely, genuinely sweet, genuinely funny. Was very passionate about the business for so long, and I miss her. A lot of fun working with her.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of fun working with her.
How long was she around the company?
She was there before I was.
Okay.
She's responsible for Jimmy C coming into the company.
Oh.
She actually knew Jimmy beforehand and introduced him to the business.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's her
lasting
her lasting legacy is Jimmy C. Still in touch with her to this day. She's working for Tourism Commission stuff now.
Oh, nice.
You always see these beautiful photos of her on a train or on a beach or Kangaroo Island somewhere, doing amazing things.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
Here we go.
Oh, wow.
Group photo.
That is vintage. That is really vintage.
There's a lot of familiar faces there.
Yes, Harley Wonderland, Brad Smythe, the great Joe Greco.
Look at them all.
Wow.
Jet, of course, no shirt, as usual.
Of course.
Baby James Cray.
Baby everybody.
Baby everyone.
Baby all of
Katie
us.
Trey.
Yeah.
Baby Pereira.
Yes. There's ATM right there.
There he
Baby
is.
ATM.
AMT, yeah.
AMT, sorry, AMT.
ATM.
Well, you know, he pays.
That's right. He collects the paychecks for the big man.
Oh, God. Baby Pereira when they used to dance.
Look at them all.
Baby Tony Toro.
Zach Sabat with the long hair.
Yes, yes.
Chris Basso in a suit. That's come around again.
Yes. Oh, God, it has,
Definitely
hasn't it?
come around again.
And, of course, Josh there as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Josh and Todd. At the Latvian. I miss that venue. I know everybody says it on this show, but there was no better venue than the Latvian. No better venue.
What was it? RCW 200, 600 fans, Latvian Hall. Amazing show.
Yep. The RCW 10th anniversary where we had to turn people away because the fire marshal drove past and saw how many people were lined up to still come in and stopped us. Stopped us at 555 is my memory.
Right. What a venue.
Oh, the best.
Very, very good venue.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what a photo. Like, just the quality of talent in there that are still around and that have been and gone, and, you know, people like Rhea Ripley there in the middle.
That's right.
Yeah.
There are eras of there are eras of RCW in the same way there are eras of WWE. I was thinking about this the other day.
Yeah.
You've got the very early days, then you've got the Grimmick era, where Matt Basso and Chris Basso were at each other's throats with that classic trilogy of matches, which if you haven't seen the Grimmick matches, watch them, they're incredible. Then you've got this era through here, then the Latvian era, then you've got the new gym era, now you're moving into the era again, the Katie Trey era with all those guys at the top. It's great to be able to look back and see a company with that kind of longevity, that kind of history, those generational shifts, and then have people like the Rude Ones come back and get the legendary treatment that they deserve.
No, absolutely. No, it's an amazing photo. Talking about John
Cena. That was at an Adelaide show. That's at the Hilton. Your favourite place. It's probably about 50 metres from where you saw him.
That's probably the same night because he was wearing that suit.
This was prior to a show, so it was probably the same day.
Yeah, it would have been. I saw him after the show.
The only reason I was in the hotel that day was because I was dropping Titus O'Neill off.
Oh, yeah.
Titus and I became friends backstage at that Raw show where I met Cody and Dustin and kept in touch on social media. And when they came to Australia, he got in touch with me. He's like, dude, do you want to hang out? Like, absolutely.
Yeah, nice.
So we met up, and I drive a tiny little car. So myself and Titus squeezed into the tiny little car. It was the funniest thing. We ended up going to Adelaide Zoo and hanging out all day at the zoo, which was good fun. Nice. And then, dropped him off at the hotel, and while I'm saying goodbye to him, John walks past, and he's like, say hello to my friend.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good. That is so good.
Stan. Again in the Hilton.
In the Hilton, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So this is, for those who aren't comic book fans as well as wrestling fans, this is Stan Lee, co-creator of most of the Marvel characters.
Stan Lee, surely.
But I interviewed Stan over the phone a couple of weeks before he came to Adelaide for his appearance at a Comic-Con.
Okay, yeah.
And I got told at the time, there's no way you'll meet him in person.
Right,
It's phone interviews all it is.
Yeah.
Cool, great. So interviewed him, and the usual rule, didn't tell him that I was a fan till the very end of the conversation.
Yeah.
Lovely chat. Anyway, comes to Adelaide, and I'm on my way to court, and the Hilton building's next to the courthouse.
Yeah.
And comes over the police radio. 90-year-old man at the Hilton has had a heart attack, needs to be rushed to hospital, not expected to survive. I'm like, you're kidding. Stan Lee's in his 90s. Don't tell me Stan Lee's come to Adelaide and had a heart attack. So I beeline into the Hilton, and I run into the PR person for the Comic-Con. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, it's not Stan. Oh, thank goodness for that. Okay. He goes, but seeing you here, he's about to do a TV interview. Do you want to meet him?
Oh, get out.
Yes. 10 minutes later, this gopher, one of those little motorised cups, zooms past, and it's Stan. Hello, true believers! As he's zooming past on his gopher. Zooms in, does the TV interview, hilarious, just hilariously funny. And then afterwards, they introduced me to him. And I remind him, I said, you're not going to remember this, but we spoke a couple of weeks ago on the phone, and you're really not going to remember this. I wrote to you years ago when I was a child, and you did me the kindness of writing back.
Oh, no.
And what you said to me in that letter about the way that I wrote to you gave me the confidence to keep pursuing writing as a dream and eventually become a journalist.
Oh, wicked.
He looks at me, we're standing like that, and he looks at me and goes, so you became a journalist? I said, that's right. He said, all because of me. And I said, yep, all because of you. He said, so send me money. A couple of years later, we would meet and befriend a famous cosplayer by the name of Ivy Doomkitty. She's one of my wife's best friends.
Yep.
Ivy is Stan's adopted granddaughter.
Oh,
I was telling that story, and Ivy looks at me and goes, "You're Danger Noodle." I said, "I beg your pardon?" She said, "Stan had a habit of giving nicknames to people because he couldn't remember their names."
Right,
She said, and he was talking about this big, tall Australian journalist who he called Danger Noodle. She said, "So you're Danger Noodle."
Oh, wow.
There you go, Danger Noodle.
That is so cool. Well, we're adding that to the title. That's the title of the podcast.
The woman herself.
There we go.
How can you not be proud of this absolute champion?
Yeah, killing it. Absolutely killing it.
To go from the girl who could not do a promo to save her life to being the girl that has won it all on the grandest stage of them all and will be one of the leading lights in this industry for many years to come.
Oh, yeah.
She always had the potential. She always had the ability. The Bassos ignited it in her and stoked it in her. The PC and Triple H and Shawn Michaels have absolutely exploded it through her.
Yeah.
She's just the best. She's
absolutely.
just the best.
No, there's not much more you can say. She's a star.
He
He's the C-man himself.
This twerp. Love him or hate him, he's a twerp. No, look, I got to admit, I love him. We've had our adversarial relationships over the years. When he was general manager, he was absolutely impossible to live with. But, he got better for a while there. I hear he's gotten worse since.
Yeah, he's gone downhill again. But
associating with bad people, I believe.
Yeah, he was good when we had him on the show. We've had him on here, so
I enjoyed that episode.
He was a great guest on here. And then after that, something went wrong. Maybe there was something in the water I gave him, but he went downhill a little bit. But that's all right. But no, he's a guy that's done a lot as well. So.
He's another one like Josh who is incredibly passionate about the business and will do anything for the business.
Oh, yeah.
At his worst excesses, it's so that he looks good in the business.
Yep.
But when his true heart is coming out, when his real self is exposed, when his ego is divorced from things, he's all about making the business a better place for everybody.
Absolutely. He does a lot behind the scenes as well, which makes everyone better, the show better. So
he would happily be stepped on if it meant making a show better.
Yeah, no,
he's one of the real ones, honestly.
No, he's a good lad. Here's a TV. Here he is.
It's very weird promoting a book.
Snowtown Murders. There you go.
Very weird promoting a book because you kind of lose control of the narrative. You know, like you're trying to dispel the murder capital myth.
Yeah.
And then the publisher gives it a title like City of Evil, which is a great Avenged Sevenfold album, don't get me wrong, but wasn't the title I wanted for the book.
Oh, really?
And then people want to talk about the Snowtown murders, and there's no such thing. None of the murders were committed at Snowtown.
Nah, right.
So you're writing a book to dispel these myths, but the way that everybody promotes your book is to talk about myths.
What was the original title? Your working title? What was it?
I wanted to call it Churches and Graveyards.
Okay.
Because Adelaide's the city of churches. Every church has a graveyard. Every graveyard's full of skeletons. Apparently that was too esoteric. The original title that the publishers gave it was Murder Town. And I said, if you call it that, I will withdraw the manuscript.
Yeah, no, that's my least favourite there.
Yeah, that's awful. City of Evil, look, it's okay.
I like it. It's a good name. Obviously, it's not the meaning that you want for it, but I like the name, and I like the churches and graveyards as well. So, at the end of the day, you got a book published. That's the main thing.
And then they turned it into a TV series.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Eddie Maguire bought the rights to it and turned it into a TV series, and myself and my friend Daniel Panozzo were involved in the production and everything of that.
That's amazing.
Which was great, and kind of that TV show sort of serves as the launching pad for Just Lawful.
Okay.
In a way, because it was like, well, okay, that's how the big boys do it. How could we do it if we were completely unrestrained and we were doing it our way?
Okay, yeah. Oh, nice. That's cool. Here he is, TV.
Yeah, that's promoting the TV series at that point.
There you go, explores the facts and myths.
It was a bit better at that point.
So that was promoting the TV series.
Promoting the TV series, and by that point people had gotten the idea. And I think I was a bit more of a name in journalism by that point too. When I wrote the book, I was just a court reporter in Adelaide.
Right.
Once you've written the book and someone's making a TV show out of it, you're an author.
Yeah.
So they listen to you a little more now.
Yep.
And so if I say, guys, it needs to be promoted this way, they're like, oh, okay, no worries.
Yeah, okay.
But Nine, of course, had a vested interest in promoting it correctly because they were screening it.
Yeah, and Eddie and stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
The Wolf Dog! Oh, one of the people that has taught me the most about commentating, about wrestling, about the industry, about friendship. He is just one of the most pure-hearted, good people you could ever hope to meet.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, I've learned an awful lot from him. He used to tell me that I was, with the exception of Paul Roberts, the best at the job.
Nice.
And I'm like, look, I appreciate that, man, but you're wrong. If anybody approaches Paul's caliber, it's you.
Yeah.
Like the voice that he has for it, the
very
passion that he has for it, the delivery.
Distinct voices.
Plus the fact that he worked, you know, he was in the ring,
100%.
taking the bumps. I can't talk shit from my elbow when it comes to what it's like in the ring. I never will be able to. He can.
Yeah.
Paul can. Those sorts of commentators are the absolute pinnacle.
Yeah, exactly.
All I can do is talk about wrestling. He and Paul can speak to wrestling.
Well, you need that good mix. You can't just have all guys that are ex-workers or all guys that have never taken a bump in their life. You have that mix of it, and it gives it a real good, play off each other, and you can get a real good vibe from that.
Exactly.
No, absolutely. I've been lucky enough to meet Wolfie, and great guy. Here we go, International Assault, here it is.
The International Assault tours were just phenomenal. Such a great period of time. Adrian Monera's done a really good job bringing that company together.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I sit there and I think of the embarrassment of riches of the people that I've worked with. Like, I worked with the Bucks and Bullet Club at the height of their power. I was calling Austin Aries versus the Briscoes.
Yeah.
I mean, Jay Briscoe has just passed away, which is such a tragedy.
Unexpected, that hit hard.
I read that and I just remembered all the conversations he and I would have backstage about our kids, mainly. That's what we talked about, you know? And I just, I want to reach out to Mark and just say, brother, I'm so sorry. Like,
it was like myself. I was actually that morning watching some of their bloody promos and a bit of their working just for inspiration. Don't know why, but just because I love it.
You're a fan. You've got to look at these things.
And then you open up Facebook after lunch, and all of a sudden, I'm like, this must be a joke. And then, no, it's everywhere.
All gone in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
All gone in a heartbeat. But like I say, the embarrassment of riches I've had, sitting in a bus. There's one night on a Defend and Destroy tour where I'm sitting on a bus with Austin Aries, Abyss, and Frankie Kazarian talking about the early days of Impact.
Yep, yeah. Nice.
While Marty Skrull and Brody King are talking about something else. Jordan Grace is trying to get all of us to eat a durian, and so she can film it. Brian Cage and Flip Gordon are talking workout routines.
Nice.
And just as the further you go back in the bus, the more ludicrous it gets to think that here we are doing this.
Yeah.
Another night, and tell me if I'm going off script here, Adrian. Another night, Flip, Brian and I decide we're going to go find ice cream in Sydney at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
We found it, and then as we were walking back, we go past a nightclub.
Okay, yeah.
And there's Abyss inside the nightclub. This big grin on his face, waving at us. We're like, what? And he goes, come in. We can't. It's 2 a.m. It's Sydney. It's a lockout.
Yeah.
He goes, wait a minute. He goes and he whispers to a security guard. The security guard points us around the corner. Okay, so the three of us go around the corner. The air conditioning vent opens. They've got a secret door to this nightclub through the air conditioning vent that brings you out in the storeroom so that you can get into the club after 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So we get into the club and there's Melina. One of my biggest crushes in wrestling. And Abyss is like, Sean, Melina's here. You've got to dance with her. I'm like, yes, I do. This is my moment. Yes, I do. And so I spent the night dancing with Melina, which is really as good as you think it is. Trust me. It was such a fun night. She's like, they tell me you're a fan. I'm like,
Yeah. That's amazing.
Oh, no. Just when we were having so much fun.
That shirt looks familiar.
Just when we were having so much fun. Look, alright. He hasn't been around for a while, so I think I can say this safely. He certainly acquitted himself properly at the end of the Fringe.
Yeah.
Finally getting out from the thumb of Rocky Monero.
No, definitely.
Finally realising that if he was going to do anything, he needed to walk his own path.
Yeah.
That's when he's the most dangerous. That's when he's the best at what he does. Yeah. When he's not siding with anybody, when he's not carrying anybody, when he's not being anybody's concierge.
Yeah.
I will say this. Commentating with him was probably my favourite period of commentating, though.
Nice, okay.
You talk about that dynamic earlier. The dynamic between worker and observer, and the dynamic between morality and absolute psychopathic evil. He can hear me.
He's done it. He's done it. Keep going.
That's a real Mean Gene moment right there. You got to keep that in.
Yeah, we'll keep that.
That's like Mean Gene. Will somebody do something with this scenery? But that dynamic was electric.
Yeah, 100%.
And the 12 months that we were commentating was phenomenally interesting and never less than passionate and really, really engaging.
Yeah.
I think I did some of my best work in that 12-month period. Wolfie and I had a relationship kind of like Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura.
Keep going, you're right.
But the real Jesse Ventura stuff came out with Tyler Daniels.
Yeah, 100%.
Really did.
No, definitely a very good combo. And here we go. On these stuff. Sid Parker, Erica Reed.
Oh, I love these guys. So, Erica says to me one night, where do you sit at the ring? I'm like, oh, top left corner. She's like, okay, cool. All right. Sid comes out. Erica comes out. She walks up and she goes, here, hold Pixie. I'm like, what?
No.
And she puts Pixie on my head. God bless Pixie. R.I.P. Pixie.
Yeah,
she
true.
puts some of the other rats in my neck, in my jumper, or in my coat, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay.
No way.
This is happening. I'm just staying here. Anyway, Pixie went to sleep on my head.
No way.
Quite calmly, just curled up and went to sleep.
Yeah.
The other ones were quite calm. And Erica and Sid had their match. And she comes back and she tries to take the rats from me, and they don't want to leave.
Oh.
She ends up having to take my jacket off
No.
and pour the rats out of my pockets to get them. When we get backstage later, she's like, you are looking after the girls for the rest of the tour.
Oh, wow.
And so that became one of my jobs. I was the rat godfather. And I loved those rats so much. So I would get to shows and Erica would just put the rats on my shoulders. I'd walk around doing everything, pre-show, pre-planning,
Just
talking
hang
to
out.
the boys with the rats on me.
There you go.
Yeah.
The first rat daddy, there you go.
So that is a complete and utter work, that photo. The fact that I look terrified in that moment is complete work.
Yeah, you're not scared at all.
Not at
Loving
all.
it.
Oh,
Mr. Rocky Monero.
and the delightful Madeline.
There
Wow.
he is, giving you the smug look as usual.
I think everybody, when they get into wrestling, wants to have those moments. You know, we grow up watching wrestling and we want to have, like, you know, I want to have the Hogan Warrior moment, or I want to have the Goldberg Brock Lesnar moment, or I want to have the Eddie Guerrero moment.
Yeah.
I knew from a young age I was never going to be able to wrestle.
Okay. Yeah.
Never going to be physically able to wrestle, no matter what I tried. So my heroes were Howard Finkel, were Mean Gene Okerlund, were Gorilla Monsoon. I wanted to be those people. Like I said, I don't want to be front of camera, the one that you're looking at. I think that unless you are a wrestler commentator or a wrestler personality, so a general manager, someone like a Jimmy C, someone like a Paul Roberts, you should be heard but not seen.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, like, if you were a wrestler, for example, I would want to stand one step half behind you while talking to you, so that you're the focal point of the shot, because people pay to see you.
Look at this.
not
I'm
me.
behind you. You're the focal point of this podcast.
Which
There
feels
you go.
weird. So, like, wrestling announcers who are not personalities, and I stress there is a difference. There are different types. But wrestling announcers who aren't personalities should be like a great side salad on a meal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You enjoy the side salad, but you don't remember it because it complemented the meal.
No.
You don't want to go, wow, that was a great side salad, the meal was terrible.
Yeah.
Or, geez, that side salad was so crap, I don't like the rest of the meal.
Yeah.
So, knowing that, and that being my mindset, to have I guess it's an opportunity, to have Rocky Monero obsess over me, and for us to become such rivals.
Yeah.
For us to become such foils with one another.
Yeah.
For him to making my life a misery part of his objective. For me to be able to bring my journalistic skills to bear on exposing him for the rat fink that he is.
Yeah.
Looking back on it now is really cool and was a joy.
Oh, yeah.
At the time, it was frustrating as hell because he is one of the most smug pieces of you-know-whatever.
Oh, yeah. He's got a face you want to smack.
Absolutely. But it was wonderful in hindsight to have that hero-villain dynamic, you know? Clark Kent without the Superman powers getting dunked on constantly by Lex Luthor. That sort of feel.
No, absolutely. That feud, you could say, was a very good one, and some of the best work that I've seen you do.
Thank you.
In the company, obviously, because you brought out more of a personality and you could play a bit more of a character. And then obviously Rocky's just him same old self, a legend of the game, so he knows what he's doing well. So.
Oh, look, I have so much respect and automatically lack of respect for that man. Kind of like Jimmy C. He's another one who makes the place better by his presence, but sometimes his presence goes over making the place better. So depending on which side of the bed he's gotten out of that morning is whether or not Rocky Monero is someone I can respect that day.
I like it. Quick pause for 2 seconds. Next one here. Oh, Jimmy!
The night that Jimmy won his first ever match.
Jimmy the wrestler.
Look, I'll be honest. I've never been so worried watching a wrestling match in my life. I'm used to getting to know people, getting to be friends with people, understanding that they are wrestlers. This is what they do.
Yeah.
I've been backstage when people have been really horrifically injured. There's a particular wrestler one night who dislocated his shoulder on a high-flying move. Ooh. And I remember myself distracting him while a veteran wrestler reset it, which is as bad as it seems in the movies. It's awful.
Oh, yeah.
So to know that Jimmy, with, body by Villies, as I like to say, was getting into that ring, especially against Havoc.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Havoc crush him in 2 seconds.
By that point, I'd had my feuds, if you want to call them that, with Big Brody Marshall and with Rocky Monero. And I'd been in the ring in a sense once. There was an incident during Marshall's title reign where he and Grimm went at it in the ring.
Yeah.
And I don't know what possessed me, but I tried to get in to separate the two of them.
Oh, my God.
And, I almost got pancaked. I'm of a height with both of them, but I'm certainly not of a musculature with both of them. So knowing that Jimmy was getting into that ring to compete against the Master of Mayhem, a champion no matter where he goes.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm stunned that Jimmy survived, and all credit to Steve Miller for that.
Yeah.
For keeping him alive and for training him enough to get through that.
No, 100%.
And best of all, Ben Rosenthal got his head kicked in, so that's always a good night.
Good match too, that was actually.
Really good night. That whole night was a good night, really apart from how it ended.
Yeah, true. Here's the boys.
The boys.
There you go. Bit of a newer team.
Yes, yeah. Good lads, both of them. Good lads indeed. Has in particular another one who has been in the ring.
Yes.
Yeah. And therefore knows what it's like in the ring.
For a long time,
and is a personality. Exactly the sort of commentator personality I was talking about.
Yep.
And then Andy and I, again, that slight bit back further to give the spotlight and the exposure. Andy's come great guns. He's done really, really well. Found a real good niche for himself.
He's smashing it. Yeah.
And has, of course, what can you say about the party starter? I can say things has, but the checks keep clearing, so I'm not saying them. Just keep the money coming.
Yeah, exactly. Without going too much into it, Andy himself has taken a few bumps.
Yes.
So he has a bit of an insight in it too. But
taken a licking and kept on kicking.
He's he's smashing it with his band work and then it's the stuff in Riot City. So no, he's doing really, really well. So,
indeed, he is. And a lovely person too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what an awesome team, chucking those you guys together. So
it's funny. I miss ring announcing more than I miss anything else.
Okay. Yeah.
I really enjoyed ring announcing. I enjoyed having such a small amount of time to try to convey so much.
Yeah.
I remember on World Series Wrestling in particular, fans don't necessarily know who is someone that will align with their values and who is someone that will cheat to win.
Okay, yep.
Being able to give them a hint to that through my voice.
Okay, yeah,
just
nice,
the different way you announce Bronson Reed versus the way you announce Gunter. To try to give people that clue. This guy's probably going to look after you in a bar fight. This guy's going to start the bar fight and keep all your money afterwards. Was a really interesting challenge.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed that challenge.
Nice. And it's good that you're someone who's picked up on that and can instead of just being one sort of tone the whole time, to change it and that brings an element to the game and makes the product even better, man.
Well, that's right. You've got to give the audience a clue. You've got to make them understand. Every show is somebody's first show.
100%. Whether they're there or they're watching it online.
That's
so
right.
Definitely.
Hey!
Here's the podcast that we spoke about earlier.
Just Lawful. This is probably the most fulfilling thing. Not probably, it is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in journalism.
Nice. Yeah.
Daniel Panozzo and I went to see the Joker film.
Yeah.
The Joaquin Phoenix film.
Yeah.
And I hated it. Hated every minute of it.
Wow.
I knew what it was trying to do. It was trying to make a statement about violence.
Yep.
But it ended up glamorizing, not condemning the Joker.
Okay, yeah.
And I have a real problem with that in any media, like, Ted Bundy movies or serial killer films or whatever. Like, don't glamorize the criminal, celebrate the survivor, or mourn the victim.
Yeah, for sure.
So I walked out of this film with a head of steam. I was so mad. We saw it at Palace Nova on Rundle Street.
Yep.
I was so mad. I said, I'm just walking home. I'm not even getting a tram. I'm so angry.
Yeah.
So Panozzo follows me and we're walking home in the rain. And I'm just spouting off about my whole thesis about life and crap and the way people treat victims of crime.
Yep.
Daniel says, we should be recording this. Let's do a podcast. I'm like, I don't want to do a podcast because I work for an actual major news company and just doing a podcast kind of feels a little weird.
Yeah.
Give me time to think about it. So I approached 5AA and said, would you take a meeting with us?
Yeah.
So in we go. And we're prepared with all this, information as to why we think our show is exactly what we should do.
Yeah.
We sit down with the station manager. He goes, "Oh, thanks for coming, boys. An hour every Sunday night from 7 o'clock. You don't want us to pitch?" He's like, "No. Whatever you want to do."
Wow.
Thanks.
No way.
Yeah. So we got the gig, and we're just about to kick off as we record this right now. Season 3 kicks off this coming weekend.
There you go, catching me already. Look at that.
Yeah, so
that is wicked.
It's great. It just the things that we've been able to do, the impact we've been able to have on the small scale in terms of giving victims a bit of closure to come on and tell their own stories.
That's great, yeah.
On the big side of things, we've helped move along a couple of legal changes. We've caused a coronial inquest to be brought on earlier.
Wow, yeah.
We've won 3 journalism awards, so Daniel has to admit that he's a journalist now.
They're coming.
Which
I just love this photo. If you guys can see it at home, look at the setup: headphones, professional mics, soundboards, and we've got a poster that falls down, a brand new mic. But we're getting there. So no, I love this. That's awesome, man. And chasing your dream, I like that. That's really good.
Look, it's a thing of privilege. Like the fact that I had a media identity to be able to leverage to get in the door at 5AA to even ask in the first place is privilege.
Yeah.
And that's why I respect the hell out of yourself and podcasters like you who do it like this, because you're just as passionate.
Yeah.
You're just as informative. The product is just as good. It's just that we're fortunate enough to have access to the toys.
Yeah. No, 100%. No, I love it, man. That's good. And I think here's the awards.
That's the first one.
Coming.
Yeah, that's the first one we won at the SA Press
Dressed
Club.
Up nice. Look at that.
Yeah. He scrubs up all right, doesn't he?
So that was for podcasting. Was that for crime? Like, what was that?
That was
for?
We actually beat out all the radio people, so it was radio and podcasting
nice,
all in one.
Yep.
We did it. We did a bit of an NWO moment. We did a bit of a disruption moment. We came in and decided, no, this is where the big boys play. We're going to change the game.
Yeah.
And
why not?
so we won this in particular for our coverage of the Hillier triple murders, which go have a listen to the show. I'm not going to dirty up this by talking about murder, but very difficult fraught situation. That's right. Very difficult fraught situation for so many people involved. And we won the award for that, which was fantastic. And I said to Daniel, if we win this award tonight, you're accepting it, not me. He's like, why? I said, because that will piss people off. Because you're not a journalist and you're winning a journalism award. He's like, all right, done. And then we won it. He's like, shit, now I have to speak. And he's done a brilliant job.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he would have loved that.
I think he enjoys. Well, I mean, what does he say on his business card? Professional shit stirrer.
I
think he enjoys it.
He loves a bit of limelight, that bloke. This I love this photo.
I love that photo.
I really love this photo.
That was my final day in Riot City. That's when
Fringe.
That's when I knew I was going, and very few other people knew.
Yeah.
I deliberately hadn't told anybody that I was leaving because I didn't want anything said or done.
Yep.
I didn't want a farewell. I didn't want an in-ring thing. I didn't want a noise to be made because I'm not a character.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a side salad, and you don't you just sweep the side salad off if you don't want
you're
it.
not really going anyway, so...
Well, yeah, but what I love about this photo in particular, I asked Daniel to come along with me to the show, and he was kind enough to do so, and then he took that photo, and he's timed it so well because none of the spotlights are on me.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about that photo, because that's exactly the way it should be.
I didn't even look at it that way.
Yeah, the spotlight isn't on me and shouldn't be on me.
Yeah.
And I don't want it on me. I'm here in the middle part to give you any information you need that you can't get by looking at the people in the spotlight. So that to me sums up my career in wrestling quite well. Center ring, but not the focus.
Yeah. No wonder you're called, the wordsmith?
That's what Josh said,
That's amazing. I didn't even, I love this photo, but I did not think of it in that way, obviously, because not thinking the way that you think, so...
Yeah.
No,
so
that's awesome.
That was my goal, and that sums it up beautifully. Center ring, but not in the spotlight. And Gunther, if you're watching this, yes, I am in the damn center of the ring, and you can live with it.
But, Fringe, though. What an amazing event.
I was so privileged to get to the Fringe 3 times.
Yeah, nice.
You know?
Yeah.
Amazing. I never thought in my life I'd be a Fringe performer. I never thought I'd be filling out an annual leave form at the advertiser saying that I need 3 consecutive weekends off to perform at the Fringe. If the Latvian is the best venue for wrestling, then this is the best venue for South Australian WrestleMania.
Yeah, oh, nice.
You know what I mean? Under the big topic lightning.
Yeah.
That's like the blow off. That's where the big matches should happen.
Well, I heard they call it Fringe Mania. So
yeah, fair.
Yeah,
fair. Like that's a good description because that's what that is. Super Clash. That's what that night, that day, that night, whatever time of the day they hold it. That's what it is.
Yeah. No, amazing. So everybody, Fringe is coming up.
Get your tickets.
This will be produced and out before the Fringe, so get your tickets. 25th of Feb. 4th of March, Riot City. Do not miss out, guys, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Here's another award.
Yeah, twice in a lifetime. So
there you go.
This is from the SA Media Awards. So the first award was from the Press Club, which is voted on by the journalists.
Yep.
This one's from the Media Entertainment and Arts Alliance, which is the journalism union, the peak body that governs media ethics and making sure we're all doing the right thing.
Okay.
And yeah, making jokes now about the fact that they don't do too much in that case, but as it is. We were very, very, very fortunate to win an award from them as well. I'd never won an award from the MEAA before.
Okay.
For all the stuff I'd ever done with the advertiser, not a thing. First thing I do with Knuckles there, straight to the top. This was also for the Hillier Triple Murders.
Really big for that.
This is still the Hillier Triple Murders as well. So
that
was really, really great to have that recognised twice.
Wow. That's really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bigger bloody trophy cabinet, like, to get all these bloody... and now I think...
Barbecue Fest.
These are going to be out of order a little bit, but that is some of you actually doing your thing again at Riot City. So.
Yeah, that's the Beer and Barbecue Fest. That's getting to do all the ring announcing. And those sort of live shows are fun in a different way, because nobody knows who anybody is.
No.
So you've got to convey to the audience who is a nice guy and who is a piece of crud.
Yeah.
But you also have to convey ticketing information, backstory, what sort of match it is. People don't understand stipulations. People don't understand what a no-holds-barred match or a no-DQ match is. One of my favourite moments from this particular day was we had a young girl come up to us in between shows and she said to me, is the mat a trampoline? And I went, come here. So she came up. I said, wrap your knuckles on that. She hits the steel side and she goes, oh. I said, now wrap your knuckles there. She wraps her knuckles on the side. She goes, oh, wow, steel. I said, now wrap your knuckles on that. She's like, that's solid wood. I'm like, yes. Now you tell me again, is that a trampoline? She's like, no. She runs back to her friends going, it's not a trampoline. I love letting people see that and understand the amount of exertion and effort and work that wrestlers put into their performances, into their matches, into this sport.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. 100%. And people have no idea until they actually... Getting there. Here's Paul. We had to get one with Paul on it.
Quite honestly, the best.
Yeah, he's good.
In the country, the best.
Very good.
Full stop. This is a man who has done it on the microphone, has performed in the ring to the point of cage matches and things like that.
Bleeding everywhere.
That's right. Has been a general manager, has been in no DQ weapons matches. This is what I mean when I say there's a difference between a side salad announcer and a character announcer. Paul is the perfect, legitimate example of that character announcer. He gets bigger cheers than some of the performers.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you start a show with Paul, the chant for him is deafening as it deserves to be.
every month, opens PWSA, same thing. As soon as his music hits though, pop.
Yep.
Every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time.
And deserved, because people know that he puts everything into his performances, everything in. One of the great privileges of my life was to be able to call his PWSA match against his son in order to regain control of the company.
Yeah.
Just for him to approach me and say, would you come out of retirement to do this?
Yeah.
The answer was yeah, without a doubt.
100%.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, yeah.
One of my favourite people in the business. And yeah, like I say, if I ever got back into the business again, I doubt that I would ever want to do commentary, because I've done it.
Yeah.
I've moved on. But if anybody said to me, could you sit next to Paul for a while? I'd say yes in a heartbeat.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Because it's Paul.
Oh, legend. Absolute legend. Here's Luke again.
And again, someone I would
happily funny melody.
Someone I would happily work with in a heartbeat. I'm really pleased to say that Paul and Haz and I have all stayed in touch since I left Riot City.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Constantly throwing each other messages, constantly slinging garbage at each other. And the one thing we haven't managed to do is catch up for dinner like we said we were going to, but life gets in the way.
Yeah, of course.
I think each of us have had COVID at a different point, which has made that a little difficult.
Yeah. But the fact that you're talking is the main thing. You always keep in touch is good.
Oh yeah, there are relationships I forged in wrestling that will never ever go, and they're two of the best examples of that.
Yep, absolutely. No, great guys. Is the barbecue fest again?
And I'm just going to point out Mel Keane here, because Mel's photography is spot on, and one of the loveliest people backstage
100%.
at RCW. One of my favourite people, always ready with a hug and an off-colour joke.
Yeah.
And just so passionate, so loving, so caring.
Great work. And without people like herself, the boys aren't getting and girls aren't getting the photos. You're not getting the photos of the matches. You're not getting the photos of yourself and other commentators. There's nothing to show for their work. So to have someone like her is amazing, and her work is terrific. So
it's terrific work, and she's a terrific person.
And just be, you get some of the boys tell me they get some fans that will send them photos from the crowd, and they appreciate it. It's awesome. Sometimes a bit blurry, it's hard to post to make yourself look good, but as soon as Mel puts out this beautiful, edited up, nice photo, that's what you want.
That's
Chuck
right.
that up on social media.
Speaking of fans that do a great job with photos, young Ethan Sutton does an amazing job with his photos. His accounts on social media are definitely worth following.
He loves some Photoshop too.
He does.
So if you're watching, mate, I know.
There it is.
Here's the HQ match.
There it is. I remember that night.
Pariah with long hair.
Pariah with long hair and Gods and Monsters came in as a house of fire.
Look at him.
Yeah.
Steaming in.
HQ was a fantastic venue of a different kind.
It was different. It was good.
Yeah. I don't know whether Riot City was ever fully able to capitalise on what it offered, but I also don't know that Riot City's crowd was ever completely comfortable with coming down to Hindley Street once a month.
Yeah. It's hard to draw family friendly to a Friday night or whatever, Saturday night, Hindley Street. I think it was Friday night, Hindley Street, HQ. It's sort of just those two words right there, HQ, Hindley Street.
I mean, for World Series, it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
Different demographic, different group, different feel, had that sort of nightclubby, visiting people from out of town type feel.
Yeah, 100%.
Made things easier after the shows, because, all the places the boys want to go are just down Hindley Street.
Yeah.
I remember one wrestler who shall remain unnamed getting, international wrestler, getting completely tanked and saying, we can do whatever we like, we're with Sean, we can't get arrested in this town, he knows all the judges. And I'm like, don't act that way, please, let's not test that theory. I don't think it's going to work the way you think it will.
No. No, but amazing venue though, and an amazing match there. There you go. Separating the Armstrongers.
I remember that night.
Another one at HQ as well.
Yes, that was back when Tyler Daniels was on commentary with me as well.
I think Big Jeff got a bit too drunk and wanted to throw down, I think.
That's right. Nick told him he was an embarrassment. Nick told him he was a joke, and Jet made him eat those words a couple of matches later. So, yeah, good stuff there. The Bassos and the Armstrongs define Riot City the way that the Von Erichs and the Freebirds defined World-Class Championship.
Nice, yeah.
Whether you love them, whether you hate them, whether you think it's good, whether you think it's bad, they are the four linchpins of that company.
Yeah, 100%.
And things always revolve around at least one of the four of them.
Yeah.
And now I understand we've got an Armstrong and a Basso on the same side as each other, from what I see from the latest social media postings.
No, definitely. The recent show, we had the reveal that Chris Basso is leading those stupid Mars idiots.
Well, let's be fair, it couldn't have been Rosenthal. Rosenthal couldn't lead androids to a picnic.
No, definitely. He always had someone helping him. But they've teamed up, and old mate Jet just had an Emerald Crown taken from him. So
yeah, good match by Ritual.
But the Armstrongs, they're always in something. They're always around. They're always causing trouble.
Yes.
So, no, great photo there. Here with who's that?
Wow.
Matt Hayter.
That is one of the earliest nights of Hayter.
That is.
Yes. I reckon that's his second night in the company. He debuted an HQ show.
Yeah,
and this is either the second or third night.
I reckon this is his second time in the company.
They came out to present Joe Greco, who of course founded RCW along with the Bassos, with the original RCW Championship belt to congratulate him on his retirement from wrestling.
Yep.
And Hayter, for some reason, was the person that RCW management picked to present the belt. And, of course, he super kicked Joe in the face.
What a dumb idea by RCW.
Which led to me throwing myself bodily over Joe to protect him from whatever Hayter was going to do next. Fortunately, Hayter decided not to do anything, but the photo of me sprawled over Joe holding Hayter back is the photo that Hayter posts every year to wish me a happy birthday.
I think... there's a photo.
Yep. That's when he was leaving, if I remember right. I'm just like, how did this all happen? How did this come about?
Yeah, I don't know why you'd let that scumbag in the ring. He's a little shit.
Oh dear. Poor Joe. Joe used to joke, one day I want to be in the ring and I want my glass eye to fly out. So the only thing I could think that night was, poor Joe, it's your retirement, you've been kicked in the head, and both your eyes are still in your head. You didn't even get that. You didn't even get that, Joe.
Oh, shit. Oh, Joe, what a legend. No, great guy. Here's some cosplaying here.
Oh, man. Jeez. That was the night Gods and Monsters decided I was going to hold their gear.
You held it all right.
I'm holding Brody's. Michael's holding Crim's.
No, you too, yeah.
Michael Kent. What an absolute legend.
Yeah.
One of
Senior referee.
Look, and one of the best referees in the country.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things about doing World Series wrestling is as you go around, you get to meet other commentary partners who you're going to call with. You get to meet other ring announcers who you're going to work with. Yeah. You get to see other referees work. Yep. And seeing the differences in different places. And some places that are really happy you're there, and some places like Sydney that are really happy you're not. Only time I've ever been booed in my career was Sydney. True story.
Wow.
So to have someone like Michael who can travel with the tour, and keep that refereeing consistent and keep that product consistent is essential. Yeah,
100%. And shout out old Trenchy for the photo there.
My man, Pontips Ontavon, one of the best in cosplay and the best in anything.
There you go. So we'll tag him and everyone else who does these photos in the description, so you can go and check out their pages.
Luke Santamaria! Wow, another commentary partner.
You've been for a few.
I have. I think I was the kiss of death for some of them.
I was going to say, there's only one consistent, the Jews. I don't know what's going on here.
It's funny, you look back at that and you realise just how long I was there for.
Yeah.
Almost 8 years.
Nice.
Yeah, very, considering Right City's been around, 17 years?
Yeah.
And I was there for 8 of them.
Nearly half that.
It's not bad.
That's beautiful. I like it. Here's another photo.
Vanessa and the boys. When Josh decided to start copying my haircut.
Yeah, he went the bald look for a while, didn't he?
I miss the ruffles. Controversial viewpoint here, but the thing about the raffles was it actually encouraged audience interaction and participation.
Yeah.
It was the part of the night where the audience felt like the show was about them for just a couple of minutes. They'd watched half a show, they'd gone and spent some money on some drinks, they'd spent some money on some food, they were sitting down, they were going to get a spotlight on them while they ran a raffle ticket, a wrestler was going to come out and present a birthday cake, and then we're back on with it. I kind of feel like local wrestling is at its best when it remembers that it's local wrestling.
Well, PWSA still does the raffles, and I like the birthday cake thing. I like giving a fan that moment with their favourite wrestler, birthday cake or whatever it is. So
at the end of the day, as much as we wish it were otherwise, we're not on television. No. We're not simulcasting around the world. No. We're not a premium live event or whatever they call a pay-per-view anymore. Sometimes we're on Fight TV, sometimes we're not.
Yeah.
But to remember that we are at heart local wrestling, and without those local people, there's no lifeblood for the shows. I think that's a very small piece to give back.
And a lot of the guys will admit they were fans before they started, and they were probably in the crowd for some of these shows.
Exactly.
So
Rhea Ripley being the best example of that. Rhea Ripley was someone who bought her raffle ticket once a month at every Riot City show until she got over the barricade and became part of the show.
Yeah.
To me, that's a lost part of wrestling. And I'll be honest, I miss that era. I really do miss that era.
Maybe that's your job when you come back. Raffle guy. That's your main job.
Well, I've done it though. Like I said.
But you weren't the raffle. You weren't the ball holder.
I could not fit in Vanessa's shorts like that. Come on. Nobody could fill out that outfit like Vanessa does.
Definitely not.
But yeah, I think that's been lost a little bit. And I miss that. I look at what I call the second gym era. The move to Brompton.
Yep.
And the Latvian, where it was the Brompton and it was Latvian. And that's the era that I will always look back on with the fondest memories.
Yeah.
That's the era that I enjoyed the most.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep.
Even once commentary, at that point, commentary was over the loudspeaker.
Yep.
Which was terrible. It didn't work. It was a bad idea. When they clipped that off and we just recorded, that was a much better idea.
Yes.
But to have the show open with a group of announcers off camera saying, "Hey, welcome," hype up the crowd like they do for Jay Leno or Conan O'Brien or anybody on a late night show. To have that little bit in the middle, I think that's important. Yeah. And I think it's been lost.
No. I can agree on a lot of that point actually. Just depending on how long the show is going. But no, I do understand those points, and I think it could be something that should be brought back and looked into. Here we go. Comic-Con. So,
to be a comic book nerd at a comic convention where your wife is performing as a cosplayer, where you're announcing pro wrestling, I think that's just about the pinnacle. You know,
that's
like
good.
For a nerdy guy like me, that's
right
the pinnacle.
there.
And you can see that I'm not dressed to announce.
No.
What actually happened was
fanboy gear.
Yeah, what actually happened was the announcer that was supposed to be announcing that weekend fell really violently ill at the con.
Oh shit.
Yeah, food poisoning or something like that. The poor guy, he was really, really ill. So Matt Basso saw me going past. He's like, "You're going to be here all day? Yeah. Do you want to announce the shows?" Yes.
Nice.
Of course I will. I said, "I'm not going to get changed." He's like, "That's fine."
Yeah.
So I announced the shows, and that was a great time. The other great thing about that was another challenge, because with a comic book audience who may not be smartened up on wrestling, but know good guys, bad guys, drama, hijinks, etc. How do you pitch to a room full of people that are here not to watch wrestling to come watch wrestling?
Yeah.
So I would do an announcement 10 minutes before the show started. And the best thing to do was copy something that was on TV. So I would imitate Big E doing the, "Oh, Adelaide, don't you dare be sour."
Yeah.
Because people go, "Oh, that's wrestling." And they know enough to come along.
Okay, yeah.
I love little challenges of trying to convey the maximum amount of information to somebody in the smallest time possible with the least amount of personal footprint on it.
Yeah.
If I can make you remember to do something without you remembering that it was me, I've achieved my job.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. That's amazing. So that brings us nearly at the end. I'm going to get back to start to the one I skipped over. And it's this one here. The Many Faces of Sean Fewster.
25 years of being an utter muppet.
Look at him. Look at those first ones. What a baby-faced killer that bloke is.
So the top three, that's the first one's my first ever advertiser ID photo when I started at the Tizer.
Oh, no way.
January 12, 2000.
2000.
2000.
No, 2000.
No, just 2000. Just 2000. January 1st, 2000. And then the next one, I was reviewing the VW Bug, which was brand new at that time. And then, going on from age, except for the middle one, which is obviously the most recent one.
Yeah.
It was funny showing this to some of the new reporters just the other day when the 25th anniversary ticked over. They're like, "Oh, these photos are great. Did somebody colorize them for you?" I'm not that old. We did have colour film in those days.
Jeez, that's rough.
My favourite, though, is the centre bottom with the shovel.
Yeah, I like that one. That's good.
So I won an award for the Tizer, some in-house... Everybody has in-house awards. They're garbage. We all know. No matter where you work, they're garbage.
Wrestling, Matt Hater.
They're all garbage. I had to get my photo taken. I really didn't want to, and work pursued me until I got my photo taken.
Yeah.
That shovel was in the photo studio, so I refused to put it down. So every photo they took of me involved this damn shovel.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I thought it was great for a true crimey kind of feel.
Yeah.
And I got so much stick for it. The bosses were really unhappy. Can't believe you made us use that photo. It was really unprofessional of you. No. Anyway, a couple of months later, when the TV show debuted, what was the photo that everybody wanted to promote the TV show? Oh, you got that one of him with the shovel?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I know what I'm doing.
It fits. I like it.
Sometimes I know what I'm doing. It was great to see that pop up in Women's Day.
Oh, wow.
Digging up the truth.
There you go.
In Women's Day. Right there between the Queen and Prince Harry.
Hey, well, that's an achievement. Alright, awesome. So that brings us into the photos. Now, sorry fans at home if it was a bit long for you, but far out. This guy, the stories that he's got, you'd be dumb not to be still watching, so I'm glad you're still all there. Amazing stories.
Thank you.
Amazing look back at your career, not just in wrestling, but obviously what you've done with the book, the show, the podcast, all the awards you've won. It's amazing, man, and we could talk all night, but Alright, Sean, so thank you for going through those photos. Bit of a trip down memory lane.
Well done on finding them all.
I did some digging. Don't worry about that. You're hard to find sometimes on social media, but I did a nice little deep dive. It's what I like to do here as well, because it gives me a chance to look back at stuff that I've never seen and relive some memories and then go, oh, what's this photo from? Match, and look up the match, and yeah, so it's good fun. But now I'd love for you now to plug any of the social medias you have.
Sure.
Obviously, podcasts, all that sort of stuff. Anything you have, go for it.
Absolutely.
All the links will be in the description, of course.
Yep.
But, yeah.
So for my work-related stuff, you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Sean Fewster. For nerdier stuff and things I'm passionate about, Instagram at Sean_Fewster. For the podcast is the Just Lawful podcast on 7 p.m. every Sunday night, 5AA. And also you can download the digital version from iTunes or Spotify every Monday morning.
Nice.
When Panoz remembers to put it on the internet. You can also email us at justlawfulpodcast@gmail.com, at justlawfulpod on Facebook, and at justlawfulpod on Twitter, and at justlawfulpodcast on Instagram and Facebook.
Nice. Absolutely.
I almost got that right. Almost got all of them right.
You smashed it. Look, it was a lot to remember, just like the intro I had for you. I still missed that. But no, all the links will be in the description, guys. So follow all those pages. And yeah, if you're a fan of true crime, which is very popular at the moment, a lot of docos and stuff on Netflix, so get on the Just Lawful podcast, listen to that on your way into work and stuff like that. Great listen, 2 awesome blokes on there. What more can you ask for? So no, thank you
Mate, you're
again.
welcome. Thank you.
Really, really appreciate you coming on. You know, you're a big profile guy in Adelaide, and I'm glad you come to this studio underground just to have a bit of a chit chat. But
Mate, Guerrilla Radio is where it's at. Like, seriously, I meant what I said. Really appreciate what you and people like you do, because the further that it gets out, the more people get to do media and journalism and things like that, the better the industry is.
Yeah, 100%. And no, so I love doing it, and I'm glad you come on here. So guys, obviously support Sean with everything he's doing. Get behind it, and who knows, we may see him around the wrestling world again. But if you bump into him out in the street, you're not going to miss this guy. Say hello. He's very friendly. He's not going to hurt you much. But no, until next time, man. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Easy. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Beers and Brawls. I've already said it 100 times, but big thank you to Sean Fewster for coming on. What a great way to kick off season 4. We're only going to get bigger and better from here, guys. We've got a big special announcement coming. I can't tell you right now, but there is something in the works that's going to be coming up on the next episode. So making sure you tune in. Big lineup of guests for this year. Maybe Matt Hayter, we don't know yet. We're still contract discussions. We haven't got the, But anyway, as always, give us a like, subscribe, comment who you would love to see on here as well. Big list of wrestlers around Australia, so give us some ideas of who you'd love to see. And until next time, cheers.